Hello everyone, this is Enzo Eigen, the Alliance for Loki, and today's video is what I'm calling my never ever list, and let me pop into the game and I'll explain what that means. And so of course we have all of our champions, and 7 stars are the newest, highest rarity. And when they came out, one of the things I was thinking about was how to reset the game. I think a new rarity allows you to reset the game, and I'll use a classic example of a 5-star. And that 5-star is, whoops, those are 6 stars, is Quake. So Quake was one of the most OP champions in the game. She just had an interesting mechanic that basically allowed her to take almost any fight and survive it and not take any damage and not have to worry about any ability. So really overpowered. And what they've done is they've never increased her rarity, so effectively eliminating her from the meta. I mean, to be honest, you could still play a 5-star Quake if you're willing to spend like 30 minutes Quake style. I think she'd be just as good and relevant. I mean, again, she doesn't require hitting, nor does she like get hit. And so yeah, she's perfectly valid, but you would have the least amount of fun in this game you could if you played her in any high level fights. And so that's Quake. And so that's the example I'm using. And I was concerned when 6 stars were coming, because I think one of the problems are when 7 stars were coming, I think one of the problems with 6 stars is they just replicated things too quickly. Like they had Ghost as a 7-star, for instance. I mean, I think she was too overpowered. And maybe a few others where I think they could have done Quake style, but I feel like when they introduced 6 stars, they were just basically giving a new rarity and not really too conscientious about how to scale, except on those very small cases of basically Quake and Magic. I think are the only 2 cases I can think of where they haven't brought them up beyond 5-star. Magic always a little surprised me. I don't think she'd be that OP, but maybe she would be. So anyway, this brings me to the talk about 7 stars and OP champions. So of course, 7 stars were introduced, and you know, we're starting to get more and more 7 stars. Of course, we get all the new champions as new 7 stars, and then, you know, Hyperion, Warlock, Juggernaut, you know, old champions are being added to the mix, Ebony Maul, Guardian, and so, you know, the list goes on and on. But I think Kabam is being very strategic and eliminating some champions that are too powerful. And the classic example of this is, of course, Mr. Hercules. So Hercules was the answer to almost every question in MCOC for a long time. Still is. If you look at our Alliance Quest teams, I think in For Loki, at least in Battle Group 3, we have like 10 out of 10 Hercules. He's sort of like Corvus. He has that can't die mechanic, which makes him so powerful and so good, especially for Alliance Quest, which is, you know, what are you doing, like 10, 12 fights? And so you need sustainable, and not dying is very sustainable. But he definitely, yes, too powerful. So I believe he will never be released as a 7-star. And I think that's good. I mean, I think we've had, you know, this game is getting fairly old now. We have a long list of champions who were too powerful. We have Hercules. Of course, I just said Quake. You know, before that, there was Ghosts, you know, and then there was Blade. Where's Blade? There's Mr. Blade. Really should show him as a 5-star. It's Blade, and then before that, who do we have before that? Of course, we had Scarlet Witch a long time ago. This is pre what do you call it? Pre 4.0. Let's get rid of these 6 stars. There she is. Oh, it's wrong. Scarlet Witch. There she is. I mean, she crushed everything instantly. Pre 12.0. And so, yeah. So I think BAM, you know, is going to eliminate some characters for the 7-star pool. And we're getting relatively close to having them scaled out. I think once we have rank 4s, then that will definitely start eliminating 6 stars as an option. And so I'm sort of thinking about a Battleground roster. Like a Battleground roster is 30 champions. I think if you had 10 rank 4s, then yeah, maybe 6-star Ascendants won't be good enough anymore to be in a deck. But we'll see. We'll see what the scaling is like. But anyway, this video was titled Never Ever, and so I'm going to go through the 6-star list of each class. I'm going to say the champions that will never ever become 7 stars, and so give my reasons why. I'll also, as an extra bonus, we'll throw in maybe a couple champs I want to see as 7 stars who aren't yet. And so on we go. First, to the science class, we have the Never Ever. I would say the Never Ever in this are Human Torch and Scorpion. I feel sad about Scorpion because I think he's an awesome champion. I love playing him, has a really cool, interesting play style. One of the few truly rupture immune champions too, and just everything about him is so cool. Good on offense, annoying on defense because it's evade. Human Torch is just like the insta mystic killer. I mean, he just is so powerful against mystics. He really, he just eliminates them in battlegrounds. And so I think he's a little too powerful to come out as a 7-star. And so I think those two are on my never ever list. Champion I'd like to see become 7-star is I-Bomb. I think I-Bomb is awesome. Super fun. You know, we don't have that many like really big time poison champions, and he's exactly that. Plus, yeah, he just looks so awesome too. And the other one is Mr. Fantastic. I think Mr. Fantastic deserves to join Void and the Leader as sort of like the new 7-star power regen control champions from the science class. I don't think he'd be overpowered at all, and he's really fun, interesting champ to play, and I think a lot of people would enjoy him. And so that's the science class. After that, we have skill. Skill is really interesting because I feel like skill is sort of like two different faces. There's the face of the champions that are so powerful. That's Nick, Kate, and Kingpin. And then there's a lot of champions where I feel like they're not much more above average. Like I take Mole Man and Zemo, both super fun, great champions. But I think they probably wouldn't even make the top 10 of best champions in the game. I mean, certainly it's situational dependent. But yeah, so I'd say skill is sort of suffering right now from maybe like a 7-star who's really powerful in the game. I can't think of a good counter example, like sort of like an onslaught type of champion. So the never evers I think are Nick, Kate, and Kingpin. I think all three are very powerful, very just strong champions. Be a little sad for Nick and Kingpin. I guess Kate is the one I'd really put on this list. I wouldn't mind seeing Nick and Kingpin. I hear Kingpin from one of the developers is too powerful. I guess, they always have intel with their data that I just don't have at all. And talking with one of the developers, he said Kingpin is too much. And so I think those three champions won't be released. And champions I'd like to see as a 7-star. I wouldn't mind seeing Hitmonkey. I think he's the classic example of a glass cannon. Super fun, has some really cool abilities. And someone on stream suggested Stark Spidey, and I think same thing too. A very interesting champion with good kit, and I think would give you a lot of answers to things that you don't have yet in the skill class, and wouldn't be overpowered at all. And so, that takes care of the skill class. Yeah, the skill class, as I said, interesting. I feel like it could use some love. Maybe one of those big three could make it as a 7-star, Nick, Kate, or Kingpin. I think that would help it out a lot. Okay, off we have to Mutant. Mutant is stock full of powerful champions in both offense and defense. I would say right now, the never evers, I'm going to go with Kitty and Archangel. And maybe I'd throw Magneto in there too. Magneto is sort of like the Human Torch version for metal champions. A little too powerful. Turns them off, shuts them down, absolutely destroys them. I love Kitty Pryde. I loved her in the comics. She actually hasn't been around too long either. But I don't see her coming out as a 7-star. I feel like, even though I don't think she is overpowered and she isn't. I mean, she's like sort of a challenging champion to play. But yeah, I mean, the fact that she can not take damage when phased is super powerful. Archangel, again, sort of the same reason of Magneto and Human Torch. I mean, he just can destroy things so quickly and easily. And so I would say those three champions are probably on my never ever list. Champions I would like to see as 7-stars. Like this one's interesting because I feel like most of them are there. Maybe, I'd like to see Wolverine. I love Wolverine. We just got Weapon X. I know Kabam was always worried about Wolverine because of his regen and his sustainability. But he's such an old classic champion, and he is the face of Marvel. And the other one I was thinking of was, who was I thinking of? Apocalypse is the other one. I don't think he's too OP. He doesn't deal a lot of damage. He's not a huge damage dealer. He does have a lot of interesting ability and cool kit. Can be a good defender, and I think he'd be a really nice addition to the 7-star mutants. Then we have Cosmic, and so Never Ever, of course. I would say the top three are the easiest of the Never Evers probably in this game, and that's Cosmic, Ghost Rider, Hercules, and Hulkling. All three of those incredibly powerful. I mean, still, basically almost every battle deck you see these three champions. As far as champions I'd like as a 7-star, I'd say Medusa. I would like to see her. I think Medusa is a super fun champion. Very old school, but still very relevant. She might be really good in this new meta with the armor breaks. And sort of want to see Ronan, to be honest. I feel like Ronan, you know, of course, he has that big cheese ability. Maybe Kabam would like to phase that out, but, you know, the once every, like, you know, every so often when you can use it, it's super fun. I guess you don't really need it. If I had to choose a second, I might go with maybe a Nihilus. It's just such a fun, interesting defender. I don't think he would affect the game too much as a 7-star. And yeah, he's just so cool looking. He deserves to be a 7-star. Okay, to tech we go. And again, tech is fairly obvious. I think Nimrod and Ant-Man are super powerful champions that probably would not be made into 7-stars if this is the plan. So my Never Ever list is Nimrod and Ant-Man. After that, I would say, who do I want? Wouldn't mind Viv Vision. I think she's a really interesting Vision champion. I think she'd be super fun as a 7-star. And she's one of those champions where I sort of feel like if she was a 7-star, people would play her and she'd be in the game. I sort of have a weakness for Darkhawk, and so I might choose him. I just think he's always been one of my favorite like looking champions. I love his like the dark gray, blue, and pink highlights. Oh, so cool. Idoom, he's right on the edge between the Never Ever and the should be a 7-star. I think I'm more leaning to should be a 7-star. Very cool, interesting champion with just a lot of utility and sort of like the quintessential tech champion. He doesn't crit, if I remember right. Does the shock damage, has the power control, which is pretty cool, has the armor. Yeah, so many things about him make him amazing. And so that is tech. And last we have Mystic. Okay, and Mystic again, it always seems like there's two super obvious. In this case, maybe three very obvious, and that's Doom, Absorbing Man, and Tigra. All three incredibly powerful champions. Doom, I think he could make it as a 7-star. You know, he's one of these champions who are still very relevant. I don't feel like he ever, even when he was released, ever quite was like the super OP champion that sometimes he was advertised as. So yeah, I think Doom would be fine, but I have a feeling those three won't make it. The ones I want the most, she should have been, she's right above my head, right there, is Black Widow Clairvoyant. Such a fun, awesome, cool champion. She's so cool and never was overpowerful, but she's like the perfect mystic. She has the different phases she can put in. She has a little bit of power control, you know, a little bit of extra damage if you want. I mean, all of these things make her such a great champion. I don't know if there's another one. It's so funny. All the ones I was thinking about, like Symbiote Supreme, maybe Dr. Voodoo, and sort of the same reason I was talking about I-Bomb. It's nice having a champion who's like really poison focused. We don't have too many in the game. I guess that we have Diablo from the Mystic class, so maybe that's not a great choice. Who's the other one I was thinking of? Morningstar, maybe? You know, I've always been a huge Morningstar fan, even though she's like sort of clunky, or Spider Supreme. Would be another one that they could make a 7-star. Oh, I should add Rintrah on the Never Ever list. He's another champion I feel like is too powerful. You know, if I just had to choose three, I'd allow Doom to be a 7-star. I think Doom would be okay as a 7-star. And he is absolutely the classic Mystic, which is super cool. So there you have it. That's my thoughts on the 6-star champions who are not 7-stars, whether some will make it or not. It'll be interesting to see what happens. You know, they're adding more and more of these like specialty crystals. Like we get the one with the Omega Days just happened, and a few times when like over Christmas we had like that Christmas crystal with all these different champions in it. Like Adam Warlock appeared, and so yeah, I think Kabam is slowly placing the old champions in, much like they did with the 6-stars. I remember with the 6-stars, they had a whole release cycle of champions, of the old champions who were being added in. But as I said, I probably think there will be some Hercules. Maybe Hercules might be the only one who never make it to a 7-star just because he is too powerful. So let me know your thoughts. I thought this would be an interesting video to make and talk about, and I'm curious if I've missed any characters who should be on the never ever list. Did I put a champion on the never ever list who shouldn't be? And are there any champions I missed that you think should be 7 stars that aren't yet? And so hope you found this video interesting, and I will see you again in another one. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.